Hi, I'm Christina Applegate.
And I'm Jamie-Lynn Sigler.
And this is
Messy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Messy. I'm Christina.
I'm Jamie.
And how are you today, James?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, kids are off school. It's the holiday, feeling the spirit. Christmas movies are on. Kind of makes things a little cheerier, you know?
Yeah.
How are you
There's a
today?
lot of stuff going on in my life today, Montel.
I know.
Living all the dreams. Okay, so before we start talking about a bunch of shit that we have to talk about, today is a very exciting day for Jamie and myself.
Yeah.
We have this person on here who you listeners will probably know from 17 years of a talk show that was incredible. Also a man of service, not only in the military, thank you for that, mister, but also advocacy work in the world, but also a brother from another mother, diagnosed with MS in 1999. It is our great pleasure to have this badass here with us today, Mr. Montel Williams.
Yes.
Thank you both. Thanks for having me, guys. Good to see you again, both of you.
Good to see you, man.
Great to see you, too. You know, we were talking before you came on, Montel, that it like, I remember for me, right when I came out about MS, you were one of the first people to call me and invite me out to dinner. I mean, we went to the Ivy. I don't know if you remember that. And it was just,
Yep.
I'm still such gratitude to you for that. You know, it was such a lonely journey for 15 years for me for so long. And to have somebody that had such experience with it and had it as long as I did, we were a wealth of information and support. And I'm just so happy I get to say thank you to you again right here for all the people listening.
Thank you. Well, you know, it's
you didn't take me to the Ivy, Montel, but you did call me.
I called you though.
You did, sir. You did. Thank you.
That was,
Go ahead.
You know, I was spending a lot more time in LA back then. That's why I got an opportunity to take Jamie to the Ivy. But next time I come to town, as a matter of fact, I'll be out there this weekend. Believe it or not, I'm coming out for the Hollywood Christmas Parade.
Oh, great!
Nice.
So I'm one of the hosts that tears down or blocks off Hollywood Boulevard, and you know we do our thing for a couple hours, but it's great fun. I do all the segments surrounding Toys for Tots.
Beautiful.
I love that. Again, This man is so impressive. I can't even. You know, it's interesting. I remember when you were diagnosed. I remember. And back then, it was like, oh, God, this is the worst thing that could happen. And I was so upset because I watched you every day. And I was like, no. And here we are, 1999. And here you are, man. So
you know, it's
cool.
crazy. You know, if you go back, it's really very, very weird. Go back in time, 1999, when I got diagnosed. First off, I was misdiagnosed for 20 years. We're pretty positive of this. While my entire time on active duty service, I was misdiagnosed. I'll tell you a very funny story. I'll give you a little history story. My first symptoms started about 12 weeks before graduating from the Naval Academy. At that period of time, this is back in 1980, they were still giving the pre-commissioning immunizations using those guns. I don't know if you've never been in the military, you don't know what I'm talking about, but the military, they used to have a gun that they would put these vials under, and they would basically dial in the dosage, and then you stepped up in a line and they stuck this gun to your shoulder, and they shot you with, back then, multiple vaccines at the same time. Now, unfortunately for me, my class, the class of 1980 at the Naval Academy, was the last group of people, well, the last class of the Naval Academy, but one of the last groups of people in the entire military to get immunizations via the gun, because they were having so many, overdoses taking place all over the world with, clinicians using this gun, not setting it right.
Wow.
With me, the first 100 guys that walked through the line got an overdose, and back then they were giving diphtheria, typhoid, and one other, rubella, all together. I was overdosed, I think, almost 50 times the dosage it was supposed to be. That is not what caused my MS. What probably happened was it threw my immune system into such a over erratic state that genetically I probably was predisposed to having
Mm-hmm.
MS anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
this is what actually pushed it out. Now, I went to Walter Reed, Bethesda, Johns Hopkins, Wells Eye Clinic, Mayo Clinic. They sent me everywhere they could send me, and no one could figure out what was wrong with me. Why? Because back then, 1989, or sorry, 1980, if you looked at a physician's desk reference and you looked up MS, it would say a disease normally found in Caucasian women of Northern European descent. There was, at that point in time, there were only probably two very, very famous African American people who had been diagnosed. One was Lola Falana, the name that is a historical name in Hollywood. She's one of the top Vegas performers at her day, and Richard Pryor. And Richard Pryor was probably misdiagnosed with having MS because of his crack abuse, you know what I mean? And all
Mm-hmm.
the damage that he was doing to himself that way. So they hardly ever saw MS in an African American male, and especially one at that point in time. I'm 22 years old, 23 years old, getting ready to graduate from Naval Academy. I was in the top shape of my life. So no one could figure out what was wrong with me. First symptom was I went blind in my left eye, almost completely blind. And then I had all kinds of optic issues going on, optic neuritis, optic neuropathy. I had what's called after a pupillary defect, all these weird things going on in the eye. And I had pain that was really pocketed all over my body. I had trigeminal neuralgia. I had pain on my left side, in my side. You know what I mean? Like where you put your hand on your side. I had pain
Yeah.
there. My feet. But no one could figure it out. Now, I was also back then a pretty heavy duty weightlifter. As a matter of fact, I was part of the U.S. Naval Academy powerlifting team. And, I was literally walking around at that time about right close to 200 pounds. And over the next 15 years, I blew myself up to about 220. I was like a novice little bodybuilder, but I was throwing as much weight around as you possibly could. I mean, there was a period of time where I was squatting well over 570. I was deadlifting around 600 pounds out of a rack. I was bench pressing almost 400 pounds. So I had that old mantra that a lot of men have, that the bigger you are, the more of a man you are. Pfft, bullshit. But anyway, so I was pounding, and I would go to see the doctor, and he said, that's probably what your problem is. You've got a pinched nerve somewhere in your back or your neck, and that's what's going on. So that's where all this pain is coming from in your side and your legs. Stop putting all the heavy weight on your back, idiot. And for the next 20 years, I was misdiagnosed. The entire time I was in the military, I would go to doctors. I have records. I would go to doctors once every 3 to 4 months saying, dude, there's something wrong with me. I can't figure out what it is. Sometimes I feel really tired. I'm getting really depressed. And they would just kind of like, well, it's all in your head, idiot. You know what I mean? And would really never follow through. It wasn't until after I got out of the military and not recognizing this whole story of bouts and episodes and things like that. But now looking back at it, I can tell I was going through little episodes almost every 6 months, but no one ever cared because I would go through the episode. I wouldn't go to the doctor then. I would wait 3 months and go to the doctor 3 months later when the episode stopped. So, well, this was happening for the last 3 months. Well, I don't know what's going on. So they just kept misdiagnosing me. And it wasn't until, I'll tell you about a story. I do remember the television show Touched by an Angel with
Yeah.
Della Reese and Roma Downey. I'm the only person who did a guest starring appearance on there, and I'm thinking I'm the only person that Roma Downey sent straight to hell rather than save. Why? Because I played this character that was a cult leader, and during the episode, I tried to burn the whole church down and burn up all my fowls in the church. The doors were chained and locked, and I'm lighting fires. And when I was flying out there to do this episode, it was a Friday afternoon. The show taped in Utah. So I was flying from New York out to Utah on this Friday afternoon. And literally, I sat down on the plane and my feet went on fire and my side went on fire. It was literally the worst pain I have ever felt. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. Now, the day before, I had done a very, very heavy leg day. and a very heavy lower back day. So I was doing big deadlifts and doing all this really kind of crazy lifting stuff. And I thought, oh man, I must have really shattered a disc in my back, or I did something. But my legs, my feet were on fire. And fire enough that, I cried for probably 20% of the flight, 30% of the flight from New York to Utah. And I just fortunately had a very close friend of mine who was a doctor that I was going to go stay with while I was shooting this episode. He's a friend of mine. I didn't feel like staying in a hotel. I'd rather stay with somebody I knew. So I stayed with him. And when I got out of the car and was walking up to his house, he looked at who was then my ex-wife, and said, what's going on with Montel? And, he put me in the back. I explained it to him. He walked out of the back, didn't say it to me, but said it to my ex-wife. I think Montel's got some sort of neurological illness. I think it's MS. And the next day, he literally sent me to a close friend of his, who was a doctor. It was a Saturday morning, because I couldn't stop crying. And he sent me to this doctor on Saturday morning, and it was one of the worst experiences I've had with a doctor, because this asshole looked me in the face and said, I think you have MS. I'll be back. And walked out of the office. Then he turns around and comes back in 3 minutes later, and he says, yeah, I'm pretty sure he did the basic in office, pinprick and all that kind of stuff. And said, yeah, I'm pretty positive you have MS. You need to go get this confirmed, maybe with the spinal tap. But I'm pretty positive. And said, I'm sorry, my friend. First off, I'm looking at you, and I don't know what you do workout wise, but you need to knock that crap off, because it's gonna really, 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 really hurt you when it comes to your illness. And he said, and I also think looking at the way this is hitting you right now, I think you're going to be in a wheelchair in the next 3 to 4 years. And I went, what? Look at this guy in the face. And I was like, you go straight to what. And I got up, I walked out. I didn't believe him. I went then back I did the episode of Touched by an Angel. And the reason I brought that up is because throughout this episode, the director that I had wanted me to cry on cue. Throughout the episode, there were several times that I got up crying. And it was no problem. He thought I was the best actor in the world, because I could literally just bust into tears. All I had to do was think about the pain in my feet, and that made me cry. So I literally, I did the episode, then I came back, flew up to New York about 2 or 3 weeks later, got an opportunity to see through Harvard, and saw one of the top MS doctors at Harvard, who then actually confirmed my diagnosis after an MRI and a spinal tap, and said, yes, I think you do have MS. And I will tell you, it was literally, when you talked about, you saw me when I came forward, it took me months to actually admit to my audience and the public, and because the Montel Williams show was on the air at that point in time. I've been on for 10 years or 9 years, and it took me a while to want to literally admit it, because back then, I don't know if, and even now, as much as Hollywood talks as much shit as it does about, how embracing they are and how they like to take care of their community. Excuse my mouth for saying it, but that's like full of shit. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll throw it up there too. Because
there you go. We're throwing birds, guys. We're throwing birds right now.
Look, they look at, Hollywood looks at illness as if it's weakness. They don't look at illness as illness. I look at the two of you warriors. You may be ill. Neither of you are weak. You may be ill. Got it. Okay, understand. We got a lot of people ill in this society.
Yeah.
But weakness is not what you have. Yeah. And how dare you give as much as you've given to a craft and a profession, to have them turn their back on you. And you don't say it, because you don't need to tell the stories, because they'll get pissed off that you tell them. I don't give a shit. Get pissed off at me all you want. My point of view is that there's no reason why I don't see Jamie-Lynn. I don't see Christina Applegate. I don't see you for who you are, acting in the role. The talent that the two of you have? What? So it was ugly. So for the first couple of months, I was afraid that Paramount was going to fire me. I was afraid that I'd lose my job. So I didn't say anything. And then I found out that, a tabloid at the time, I think it was This Globe. That was I can't remember the name.
National Enquirer, all those ones.
Yeah, one of those idiots. Literally, there was a reporter that started calling my office trying to ask my assistant. I heard Montel Williams got diagnosed. Is it true he got diagnosed? Because somebody at Harvard let the word out about 4 months in. And I'm sure they got paid for it. And this person kept calling and kept calling. I said, well, we're going to run a story on this. But if he doesn't want to confirm, and I was like, you run a story on this and I will sue you. And so I decided to hold a press conference. And look, I've had a mantra my entire life, and I'll have it to the last breath I have. I alone own the definition of who I am. Nobody else is going to define me but me. So instead of letting the tabloids define Montel Williams, the MS person, I defined myself and said, yes, I have MS. And yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, it's hard at times. But you know what? I can work through it. And I went ahead and worked my show for the next 7 years with MS. And in spite of MS, the same way that the two of you do what you do.
Support comes from Fatty 15. We are so excited to share with you guys C15 from Fatty 15. This is the first emerging essential fatty acid to be discovered in more than 90 years. It is truly an incredible scientific breakthrough. This is going to support our long-term health and wellness, and you guessed it, all the things that we're talking about, healthy aging, okay? Based on over 100 studies, we now know that C15 strengthens our cells and is a key healthy aging nutrient, which means it helps to slow biological aging at the cellular level. That's where we need it. In fact, when our cells don't have enough C15, they become fragile and age faster. And when our cells age, our bodies age too. They've actually called this cellular fragility syndrome. And as many as 1 in 3 people worldwide may have low C15 levels and cellular fragility syndrome. So to help fix this, they have found Fatty 15 because this repairs the age-related damage to the cells. It protects them from future breakdown and activates pathways in the body that help regulate our sleep, cognitive health, natural repair mechanisms, and again, support our overall health. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help support your long-term health and wellness, especially as you age. And you can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/messy and using code MESSY at checkout.
Wait, did you mention that it comes in a Bourgeois reusable glass bamboo jar?
I didn't, but tell them about it.
Best of all, Fatty 15 comes in a Bourgeois reusable glass bamboo jar, and
it
refills
sure
are shipped right to your door.
Mm-hmm. You're so brave, and the way that you have turned your pain into purpose, you have paved the way for millions of people, including the two of us here on this computer screen looking at you. Such gratitude for so many things. But I can tell you, when I was first diagnosed, so I kept it a secret for 15 years. Like you said, it was a culmination of acceptance, of admitting it, of the fear of not being hired, of the fear of people labeling me or judging me and looking at me always as weak because of it. But when I was diagnosed, one of the things that my neurologist said was, look at Montel Williams. He's on your TV screen and he's still doing it. This is because he was a wonderful, it really matters who diagnoses you, and it really matters what they tell you, I believe.
No question.
And
no question.
He had said to me, if you were a professional dancer, I would maybe tell you to think about something else for your future, but you're an actress. You can act. You can do this. And he said, look at Montel Williams. He's on your TV screen. So you were doing things for people you didn't even know, like me, that were just inspiring us to keep going, and that there was still life ahead of us despite the diagnosis. And you've been that example every day. And we want to obviously get more. I know it's so layered and it's not perfect. And when you say you have a mantra, it's because it's something you have to consistently repeat to yourself, I imagine.
You have to. You have to. I mean, I live by the thought, like I'm considered I'm older than both of you. And, in some ways, if I look at the big calendar, you might say I'm in my last quarter. You know what I mean? That's just that's nothing. I'm not saying this as a negative. This is the truth. I mean, I ain't going to live to 150. We haven't come up with the drugs yet to make that happen. So, I got another good quarter left of my life. But guess what? I can still score a fucking touchdown in the last quarter. Excuse me, I'm out. I can still score a touchdown in the last 2 minutes of the game. No ifs, ands, or buts. I look at life that way. I get up in the morning, I like to go to bed the night before and say to myself, what did I do today that's worth talking about tomorrow? That's what we all have to think about. What did I do today that's worth talking about tomorrow? If I can inspire somebody, if I can share some information to help somebody, if I can make somebody have a better day, that's made my day. That's what helps motivate me for the next day. And I know I'll be able to do that until, the clock ticks out. And, if it ticks out, I've been there, done that before, so I don't really give a damn.
I was going to say, I wanted you to see, because you could see Jamie and I got very emotional when you were talking about, I can't, like the day of your diagnosis, those words. And we have so many listeners that are just being diagnosed right now. And that feeling of hopelessness that you feel in that moment because you've got this other vision of what this disease is, right? And you're like, shit, it's, we do think of Richard Pryor. We do think of that. We think of all these things, but then we do think of someone like you or Jamie or myself. And that moment of like, you feel like the whole fucking world just crashed around you. And you being so inspiring is what I want our listeners to really hear. Those girls, those men and women who like yesterday just got diagnosed. Yeah. Honor the pain, but no, you've got to drive this one, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like
okay.
the first day of my diagnosis, I said, I have MS. I'm never going to let MS have me. That's been the way I've looked at it. I have it. It's not going to have me. If I end up in a wheelchair, then I end up in a wheelchair. If I do so, then my hands still work. If I do so and only one finger works to push that little button so the wheelchair moves forward and backwards, and I'm going to exercise the shit out of that finger to make sure that I can move that wheelchair forward and backwards. We cannot ever live with the idea of we can't live, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
The day they said you have MS, the day before you didn't think you had MS, and the world was a different place than it is the day that they said you had it. Go back to that day before. How dare, let me tell you something. If doctors out there were God, none of us would be sick. If doctors out there had a crystal ball, none of us would have any problems in our life in the future. None of them have a crystal ball. No one can tell what's going to happen with you. And, I look at the two of you, and again, it's like, I know it's tough. I do not for 1 second not believe, like the Jamie, sometimes I see you in the commercials that you do. I know I see things that other people don't see.
Yeah.
I can see them when you're walking from one bench to the next. I see them. Would I call up and say, well, I saw XYZ happen with Jamie-Lynn? Hell no. Because you walked there. You did it. And in spite of the fact that you have MS, you were able to get to the next place. And, Christina, I really wished right now, I'm telling you, Griffith, if I could come up with a movie for the three of us to be in, I would be pitching that thing right now because people need to know you are the same Christina that you were the day before that diagnosis. No ifs, ands about you, the exact same one. Yeah, you had some problems. Yeah, you had some issues. Yeah, it hurt. Yeah, the pain. Yeah, you limped. Yeah, but you were still Christina.
Yeah.
And that same Christina is still here. That same Christina is inside of you. And we deserve an opportunity to share in that Christina until you don't want to share it anymore. And I don't think that's ever going to happen for either one of you.
Preach. Montel, so will you take us to, because you've been so generous with your journey with everyone. And for people that are listening that aren't familiar, especially for those early days, right? Where you're living life through a different lens in a way, and you're navigating and you're sort of seeing how the disease is manifesting for you, what MS means for you and your body. How did you handle new symptoms arising, or things that were like, okay, this is now this foot drop is here all the time, whatever it was for you? Because I know you've always been very physically active. You always push past your circumstances. I'm kind of someone like that to a fault, but what are the things that you did to keep you motivated, especially like Christina said, for those that are just newly diagnosed?
I'm going to tell you something. One of the things that I think was so good for me was the fact that we didn't have an internet as robust as we have an internet today.
Mm-hmm.
The internet that we have today focuses so much on all the bad things.
Yeah.
Focuses on all the bad symptoms. I want to tell you about this symptom. I want to tell you about that symptom. I want to tell you about this drug and that drug. Back then, I had to take my butt to the library. And I took my butt to the library to read up on MS and try to read up on what was going on. What is it really all about? What is one of the, for me, and it's not for everyone with this illness, but for me, and for most of us, we have to understand that inflammation is our nemesis.
Yes.
Inflammation is what causes significant damage that stays with us. So anything we can do to battle inflammation is probably one of the most important things that we can attempt to do with this illness. Now, so when I was first diagnosed, I literally almost went on a complete vegan journey for a while. And then I realized
to battle the inflammation.
To battle the inflammation. But I was battling that inflammation. I was doing some things. I've done some Western medication. I've done some Eastern medication. I've done some holistic medications. I've done some things that a lot of people would say, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Well, you know what? For me, it was the combination of about 6, 7, 8 different modalities all together that helped me put this thing in check. When I say put it in check, did it stop it? Hell no. Did it stop the pain? Hell no. Did it ease the pain? Yes.
Yeah.
Was I able to deal with the pain better? Yes. Were there times, I can tell you, I don't know if the two of you watch my show a little bit. And a lot of people were often heard from people saying, I'm just so moved by your empathy and the fact that, when you're with your guests, you are so present with them and, you don't hold back and, you're a man who's not afraid to cry. Well, I will tell you the truth. Some of that crying that took place on that set had a little bit more to do with my MS than it had to do with me being as empathetic to my guest. Because I was sitting in that chair and could get a spike through my lower calf and had to act like I didn't get a spike through my lower calf. And it just fortunately happened at the same time that somebody was telling me something horrific in their lives. So therefore, my tears coincided with the story rather than, just being out there out of the clear blue from somewhere else. And so it allowed me, that ended up allowing me to be more real to me 24 hours a day rather than trying to hide everything. And then I really took on the idea. I got to tell you something. This may sound, please, I want all your listeners to know this. This is not conceit. This is not, disliking people. I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't give a shit what you think of me. I really don't. Because you are not the one that pays my bills. I'm not talking about the two of you, but people.
Yeah.
We know.
I'd love to pay your bills.
We're not paying your bills. But we will.
Right.
Totally.
But I mean, it's like, so your opinion is as meaningless to me as other opinions of people who don't even know who I am at all. So, when people started, coming down on me, well, he cries all the time. I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's who I am. And that's what I'm all about. Why do I cry all the time? Well, because I have scarring in the area of my brain that's called the pons area of my brain that actually controls things called emotional lability. When you look at some of the scars in my brain from my MS, that area of my brain is riddled with scars. And that's why I don't have as much control over my emotions. They've come up with a new term for it so pharma can charge money for it and send out a new drug. They call it a pseudo-bulbar effect. But the truth of the matter is it's emotional lability, which means I don't really have control over my highs and my low lows. The more I work on my illness, the more I work on the things I need to work on, it seems to bring that highs and lows down into a better position than it was in when I first got diagnosed, and I have a better ability to control it. But my tears are my tears, and I'm proud of it. I'm a human being. I have the right
They
to have
come
emotions.
with you.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so often, we act like, well, it's even. Let me just say, and I say this to you because I know sometimes when we with MS say things, we can trigger things in others. I don't want to trigger this in you, either of you,
Mhm.
but let's admit it to your listeners right now. You have uncontrollable depression. There ain't shit you can do about it. I don't give a damn how many drugs they try to give you. It's not going to fix the depression that's happening because why? Your brain is being squeezed. It's being squeezed. Over the course of your life, every day, there's something that's squeezing your brain. If you take a look at the brains of people with MS, our brains are getting smaller. They're supposed to be getting smaller. They're contracting. That squeeze, there's no science out there. I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to tell you, we know that put a head in the vice, that shit hurts. Okay, so put a head in the vice. That's what's going on. That's causing some of the emotional issues that you deal with on a daily basis. Embrace them. I say embrace them. Look, come on. The truth of the matter is, we were given these emotions for a reason. God gave us this. Some of it was to humble us. Some of it was to make us more empathetic to our friends and peers, to make us more loving and caring to other people. Embrace it. Know that with depression, the one thing I've learned is I can spiral myself down into an abyss. But if I stop it, think about it really hard, I can spiral myself right back up out of that abyss as quickly as I went down. How do you do it? Easy. There's several different breathing techniques that are out there. One of them that I enjoy is 4 in, 5 out. Breathe in for 4 seconds, count 4 seconds in, breathe out for 5. Then do it again. In for 4, out for 5. And let's do it one more time. And this time, all of us, close your eyes. Breathe in for 4. And while you're breathing out for 5, I want you to think of one of the most beautiful thoughts that you've ever had in your life. The thought that comes to my mind right now is a thought of cutting the cord on my child and giving them life. The thought I have right now is a smile on my wife's face while I was laying on a gurney in New York City after having just had a stroke and hearing her words, "I love you." When I woke up for 5 seconds and hearing her words, "I love you," before I went to sleep for an hour to 2 to 3 to 4 hours. Those thoughts are thoughts that right now I can't help but feel better than I did 5 minutes ago. We don't take the time to do the simple things. The simplest thing of all is breathing and focus. There's a doctor, her name is Dr. Luba Mirsky. Almost 30 years ago, this woman wrote what's called the happiness quotient or the happiness theory. I can't remember what the title is. You can find her. Luba Mirsky, really strange name. And in that, she determined that 10% of how we feel in any given moment, we have no control over. 10%, just 10%. 40% of how we feel at any given moment is based on things that are happening around us. The last 50% of how you feel at any given moment comes from within you. So you had a bad day. Okay, I had a bad day. People yelled at me today. Somebody, stop, breathe, and use that 50% of you to pull yourself out of that abyss. Think of those happy thoughts. I got a grandson. I'm telling you, if I sent you guys a picture of my grandson, he would blow. That boy is the cutest kid. I'm sorry. I'm a grandpa who believes it. He is the cutest kid I've ever seen in my life. My daughter's biracial. Her spouse is Puerto Rican. The two of them put together this little, I don't know, lightly
Wow.
tan baby that's got green blue eyes. His eyes are crystal green blue. They change colors. They'll go from green to like bright blue to back to green. He is so freaking cute. You know what I mean? So if I'm ever depressed, I just pull up some pictures of Damien. Take a look at that boy's face and understand that somehow in my lineage, genes out of me help create that. How can I not be happy? And that's what more people need to do. We need to start focusing on those things that make us happy and understanding that we have the control over it.
Yeah.
And so, can I stop my pain? No. Can I mitigate my pain? Yes. For me, cannabis has been a godsend. Godsend. It doesn't work for everybody because people try to use cannabis thinking it's going to be like a Vicodin or, an opioid. Well, first off, opioids and Vicodin, opioids don't relieve your pain either. They distract your brain from, they dull your pain senses or sensors, the receptors in your brain, they dull them, but that pain is still there. That's the reason why people chase more and more and more and more opioids, because they know that the opioid they took yesterday isn't enough, so they took 2 more. When it comes to cannabis, for me, cannabis does not end my pain.
Right.
But what it does do is it distracts my brain from it. It makes it more bearable.
This show is sponsored by Ridwell.
Hi, guys. Do you love the environment? That's all. Do you love it or do you hate it? Because honestly, Ridwell is such a brilliant company that, okay, how many batteries did someone save in your garage? Like, we're not throwing them out because you can't. Now you can. It's with Ridwell. They are incredible. They come, you've got a box outside your house, and that's the end of it.
So Ridwell is a mail-in kit, and it's kind of a genuinely unique gift that helps someone waste less and make a real impact. Okay, so you simply fill the bags that Ridwell gives you, and you send them back with their prepaid shipping. Then their partners make sure everything is recycled. For example, like Christina said, batteries, plastic bags. Who needs plastic bags anymore? And also, during the holidays now, during November and December, people throw away 25% more stuff. So it is the most important time of the year to start wasting less. Ridwell will also keep you in the loop because you get a message showing where your stuff went and what it became. They work with more than 225 recycling and reuse partners across the US and Canada. Like we said, you can mail it in or you can have them pick it up. It is so easy. So give the gift of Ridwell. Just head to ridwell.com/messygift. It's super easy. You can get a digital link to share instantly, or if you know their address, have a kit mailed straight to your friends and family. And pro tip, if you're not using Ridwell yet, treat yourself to one too. Maybe that free third one. So visit ridwell.com/messygift and let them know you heard about Ridwell from this podcast.
Messy is sponsored by Tushy.
It sure is.
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling like a Scroogey a-hole because you don't partake in elfing or shelfing? Repeat after me. A-hole is only a naughty word if you wipe.
A-hole is only a naughty word if you wipe.
There we go. Thank you. Listen, we're talking about Tushy here. The everyday luxury bidet that instantly transforms your bathroom habits and bottom health for life. It's actually kind of the perfect gift for someone. It's definitely something they don't have. This is for your sustainable bestie, your techie partner, or your IBS-y father. You know, why give a pH-disrupting bath bomb when you can give Tushy? 99% of people who wash with Tushy Wave feel cleaner and fresher after going to the bathroom. Tushy is a bidet. It easily attaches to your existing toilet. You don't need any additional plumbing, anything like that. It's basically daily decadence for your butt.
Clean butt, guys, clean butt.
We all need one.
It's amazing.
So instead of wiping endlessly with toilet paper, Tushy pristinely removes 99% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier thanks to one natural ingredient, fresh water. Installation is so simple. It takes literally 10 minutes to complete. Literally anyone can do it. Tushy Bidet gives you 2-in-1 benefits, right? It's reducing irritation, it's preventing micro tears with soothing water instead of scratchy toilet paper or damaging wet wipes. So just sit, cleanse, dry using the built-in air dryer. That's right. Cleaning yourself after using the bathroom is now hands-free. So remember, a-hole is only a naughty word if you wipe. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code MESSY at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code MESSY. Does it help with any of your symptoms physically?
Yeah, well, let's back up. When I first got diagnosed, even being that heavy weightlifter and heavy exercise person I was having left hip flexor problems. I don't know if you guys are having.
I have right hip flexor. It just
okay.
Will not come up.
Now, guess what? Now I noticed, and please, my dear, understand. I'm probably one of the only people who would notice it.
I'm okay with it. I appreciate you noticing it because I'm done hiding it. Do you know what I mean? I think I've had such shame for so long about how I moved. And now it's just everything I do on camera. It's just what comes with me. I can't hide it. I physically can't hide it anymore, but I also don't want to.
But I was also going to say, you and I, Montel, talked about my neuropathic pain, which remember we talked about from knees down is like all day long. Right. So that's what we all have, these different ways it presents itself. So that's what I was, I love listening to you because I'm learning so much right now about this freaking disease.
Well, for you, Christina, I will tell you, I got an idea. Just this is going to sound like mumbo jumbo, but it's not. So try to apply this, and you have to really, literally make a concerted effort to believe what I'm about to tell you. We know that pain is really kind of a twofold thing. There is an issue with that nerve, and that nerve is telling you, I hurt. In our bodies, we have something that's called an endocannabinoid system. You can look this up. It's being taught now in colleges all across the country. A lot of people don't understand this. The endocannabinoid system is a system inside of your body, which is, for lack of better terminology, is a secondary sympathetic nervous system. You have receptors in your body. All mammals on the planet have receptors in their body that are antagonized by cannabinoids, which are the active ingredients inside of a cannabis plant. But if you had never used cannabis in your life, I can test your blood, and your blood will show 2 cannabinoids. One of them is called anandamide. The other one is called 2-AG. They're starting to finally do some more research about anandamide. Anandamide is a chemical that is the only chemical in your body that runs retrograde. It runs backwards through your nervous system to your brain. Why? What happens? When you're walking in your living room and you hit your toe on the bottom of the couch, and ouch, that hurt, your brain sends white blood cells down there, sends things down there and says, oh, I want to stop this pain. And your body sends this chemical called anandamide back up to your brain and says, enough, you ain't got to send anymore. I got it. That's what you stimulate when you actually consume cannabis, whether it be edible or you smoke it, vape it, or whatever. So what happens is that anandamide basically says, you don't have to send any more white blood cells. I got you. I understand. I'm hurting, and it's going to start healing now. So leave them alone. Don't send too much because you'll start damaging the good tissue if you continue to send it. So it kind of puts the pain thing in check, even though you're still feeling it. A lot of that feeling is because of memory. It's not because it's happening right that second. So if you think to yourself, and this is an exercise that I got to tell you something. When I say exercise, I did every single day for 3 years. 3 years, every day. I made a check mark on a calendar making sure I did the exercise. Christina, you have to sit down with that pain one night, like tonight. Sit down with it. If it's in your foot, if it's in your feet, if it's in your side, if it's in your face, wherever it's at, sit down with it. And I'm going to use a term, it's going to sound really weird. Embrace it. Let it get through. Let it get through. Let it get through. Feel it. Cry. If it hurts you so bad, cry. Let it out. Cry. And while you're letting out and you're crying, then I want you to act like in your hands in front of you, you've got a box. And I want you to let those tears drop into that imaginary box. And I want you to look at it, and in your mind, I want you to close that box. I want you to feel like you're physically closing that box. I want you to take out some wrapping paper, and I want you to wrap that box. Put tape on it. We'll take out some more wrapping paper. Wrap that box again. Put tape on it. Take a bow. Tie a bow around that box. Tie it really, pull it tight. Put that bow. Take that box, stick it in the corner. And then I want you to sit there and think to yourself, I just put that pain in that box. That pain's going to stay in that box. Let that pain stay in that box. See how long you can keep it in that box before it comes back out. If it starts to rip through the box, put some other layer of tape on that box. Do that over and over again for the next 30 days straight. 30 days. I'm not talking just do it today and tomorrow and say, that shit ain't working. No, I'm talking painfully. Put a check mark on your calendar. I'm going to do this for the next 30 days. And at the end of those 30 days, I'm going to tell you that you're going to have the ability to start to contain your pain. It didn't go away. It's still in that box. That box is sitting under your chair. It's trying to get out. Keep it in there. Every morning when you wake up, tie that ribbon tighter. The more and more you do that, the more and more your brain's going to let go of the idea that I need to remember that pain. I truly believe it. I've taught this to several other people, and all of them have come back to me and said, you know what? I didn't believe that shit when you told me that. I thought you're fucking crazy. Go smoke another joint, Montel. And then they said, but you know what? You're right. It does work. It does help.
Yeah.
And that's all we need. We don't need to be cured. We need to have help to endure. That's all we need. Help to endure. If we look for a cure, we're looking for something that ain't coming for a long time. But look for the ability to endure and get through each day and get the best part out of every single day. Oh, come on now. That's what life's all about.
I have a couple questions. I have so many questions for you.
Sure.
Just recently, I really started to get into the idea of, hey, brain, you're doing this. Like, you keep doing this, right? It's like when the tingles come and the pain comes and all this stuff. And I've been trying to like talk to it and go like, you know what? Not right now. We don't need to go there right now. You know, it's like if I start to get stressed and then all of a sudden everything's hurting even more. I don't know. I've just started to do this, and I'm not saying that anything. I'm kind of loving this, like having control over the neuropathic nervous system fucking crap that happens with our brain and the rest of our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And right, James? I mean, yeah.
If doctors knew everything, none of us would be sick. So I defy a doctor from telling me that this doesn't work. They don't know. Our brains are more powerful than we could ever imagine. We're barely, all of us are looking with awe at AI. AI is looking at awe at our brain.
Yes.
AI wishes it could be our brain. Our brains have much more power than we ever thought they have. And exactly what you're doing is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about putting it in a box. Have that if you can't talk to you, who the hell can you talk to?
Right. I mean, we know, like, scientifically, spiritually, like, in the simplest forms, we say all thought is creative, right? As far as the universe or God or the higher power or all these things. And we know kind of like this amazing power that we have over, from a fucking plant to like the movement of the universe. And yet when we get sick, we go, let's just put a bunch of medication in us and hope it all goes away. Right. Like I don't know why have I not even like gone there,
Well,
Because you're going to go there today.
Yeah,
You got two other warriors here helping you say, I'm going to go there today. And it's like Jamie-Lynn. Jamie, it's with you. With you and your hip flexor. Let me just tell you, I've talked to you both about a technology that I'm
Yeah.
very angry about has not been disseminated the way it should have been. And I want you to know that I have been working with scientists in the EU to come up with a better mousetrap than that mousetrap, and it's coming. It's going to get here in the
Great.
next 2 years. I guarantee it.
Great.
But even without that device, my hip flexor problem was so bad that I literally almost went to Johns Hopkins to see if they could fit me with some sort of a hip flexor brace on my left side so I could kind of try to hide it a little bit better. But then I realized that, you know what? I have the power inside of me to break down the idea of even moving that hip flexor. So I literally started thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to strengthen all the bands around my hip that will have actually help strengthen the way I move with that hip flexor problem. I probably, like you know, I was kind of using my whole hip
Mm-hmm.
to throw my
I
leg
swing it
forward.
around. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You're swinging around. You need to go back to, if you can, go back to a treadmill. And if you have to put that treadmill on the lowest speed it has, I don't care if it's 0.9, put it on 0.9. If you have to hold on to both sides, hold on to both sides. And then I want you to take apart the way you walk.
Yeah.
I want you to, you know, if you can put a mirror in front of the treadmill, so it's down by where your legs are. So when you can look down underneath the little platform there, and there's a mirror, and you're seeing your legs. Watch both legs. Watch both hip flexors. And what you're going to discern is that, okay, I am throwing my hip around, and I do that when I get ready to take the step. Okay, let me slow down. Instead of getting ready to take the step, I'm going to hold on to both sides, and then I'm going to lift my body up a little bit using my shoulders. And then I'm going to let that hip flexor just kind of move forward by itself. Just try to see if you can break it down to the point that you stop throwing it ahead. That's going to take you 10
Mm-hmm.
days. I'm not exaggerating. It's going to take you 9 to 10 days to even understand when that moment is that you throw it. Once you realize when that moment is that you throw it, that's where you've got to start adding some strength. So lay down on your back, put a dumbbell on your hip side that is the bad side, and start moving your hip just a little bit to see if I can start strengthening some of those ancillary tendons around that throw to now let me move that hip forward slowly. It may take you a full month walking really slow. But if you can get it down to, it's a light bulb's going to go off on you maybe day 26, 27. And you go, shit, I didn't have to throw it. It moved forward. Let me copy that again. Let me copy that again. Then another 30 days of just copying that. Then go up to if you at 0.9, go to 1. Then go to 1.1. And keep doing it. Because every single day that you strengthen all those ancillary tendons will help your
Mm-hmm.
hip remember how it's supposed to move.
That's right. I
And
have
I
chills right now.
guarantee you, after about 60 days, you're going to get it back. And now, don't rush. Take your time. Girlfriend, it took me years. It was a full 2 years. I have no hip flexor problems anymore. I'm going to tell you guys all the truth. I can run
You
for about,
can.
I can run for about 4 minutes. When I was first diagnosed, for the next 3 years, I could not run. If a car was coming down the street and I was in the middle of the street, I'm going to get hit because I couldn't run. My brain would not process the idea of making these legs run like this. It just wouldn't do it. Now I can run for 4 to 5 minutes on a treadmill. And then I start feeling that I feel like I'm starting to limp. So let me slow down because I don't want my brain to remember what a limp feels like.
Yes.
So I stop.
Yes.
I go
Yes.
back to walking. Go back to walking. Go back to walking. Then I'll run a little bit more. You know what I mean? But I mean now that I don't have that hip flexor problem that I used to have. And it wasn't injections. It wasn't anything extra. It was just it's almost as if you got to help your brain take you apart and put you back together again.
You know, and it's just making me think too, Montel, because it's like, you know, there's so many modalities. There's so many ways of life that people put out there. If you do this diet, you'll cure your MS. If you do this, you'll cure your MS. This. And I'm sure, much like me, you've been down all the roads. You've tried all the experiments. We've tried all the things. But what I'm finding is they all have in common in a way is that finding the thing that works for you, but what they all have in common is they're kind of acts of love for yourself, like a commitment to yourself, whether that is a way of eating or a way of thinking or sitting down on the floor every day and giving a few minutes just to focus on that hip, like talking about the energy and talking about the whole spirituality aspect of everything. Like that's love that you're putting in a body that maybe for whatever reason this manifested just didn't have access to that love and care. And to me, that's what gives me the most hope about living with something like this. And that's been a gift to me, I think, about this, is it has brought me back to myself. It has made me focus on myself in a way that I don't think I ever would have before, and take care of myself.
Support for Messy comes from True Classic.
The guys at True Classic started with a simple mission: to bring premium, comfortable clothing to the masses, because looking and feeling great shouldn't come with a designer price tag. And clearly, other people agree, because they've sold over 25 million shirts to more than 5 million customers with over 200,000 five-star reviews. Okay? True Classic isn't just about great fabric or fit. It's about confidence, about helping the people you love show up every day feeling comfortable, pulled together, and confident. And that's why we love True Classic for holiday gifting. Their clothes look amazing. They feel even better. And now they're available for the whole family. So whether you're shopping for your partner, your dad, your brother, even yourself, you can find something for everyone and find something that people will actually want to wear. So skip the stress and the overpriced designer stuff. Give comfort, give confidence, give True Classic. You can find them at Amazon, Target, Costco, and Sam's Club, or head to trueclassic.com/messy to shop the perfect gifts for everyone on your list.
I'll tell you a crazy story. I said this close to 20 years ago. In some weird way, MS was a blessing for me. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but it's put me in so much, I am in so much more touch with who I am, so much more in touch with what I believe, so much more in touch with how I feel about other people. It literally stopped me in my tracks and made me understand that, it's like, okay, I've written 9 books. The first 7 of them were all pretty much, except for one of them, was all pretty much about my journey with MS and about the things that helped me. Because I'm the person who feels like if I find something that can help me, how criminal is it of me to not share it with others? It may not help everybody, but there might be one person out there that it helps. So I try my best to stay in touch, stay in tune with who I am. I told Christina this, and I don't know, Jamie, if you knew it or not, but, I had a stroke 7.5 years ago. I had a major hemorrhagic stroke. The type of stroke that I had, 50% of the people who have it die. As a matter of fact, the exact same stroke that I had, John Singleton, the director, had in the same area of his brain. So was it Luke Perry? Had the same type of stroke that I had. He didn't make it. He had one about 2 weeks after mine. Same thing, hemorrhagic stroke. Mine was a cerebellar hemorrhagic stroke. It was the back part of my brain. The only reason why I'm sitting here talking to you right now is that the blood bleed in my brain. The blood itself, people don't know this. Your brain doesn't really like blood on it. It needs blood to stay alive. But if blood's on your brain, it starts to cause necrosis. So I had a very major, what's called a class 3.5 bleed in the back of my brain. And it missed my spinal cord or my brainstem by about 1/100 of an inch. Had it hit my brainstem, I would not be talking to you today. I wouldn't be here. And blessedly, it didn't hit my brainstem. And I've been able to recover using a lot of hard work and effort. But I got to tell you, During that period of time, I was not even here. I wasn't I don't even know where I was when it comes to my body for those first 4 days in the hospital. I was barely awake, probably, we're thinking maybe 12 minutes in 4 days. I would wake up, be awake for like a minute and a half, go right back to sleep. Wake up 7 hours later, for about a minute and a half, go right back to sleep. And then I finally started coming to. And when I started coming to, I realized that some of the things I had learned from MS would be the things that I would need to survive this stroke. And that was understanding who I am, understanding what the stroke is really, doing the digging. You know, we have to be as smart as the doctor that you go visit when it comes to your illness. You have to study, learn as much as you can so that you ask the right questions, because they don't know the right answers unless you ask them the right question. And some of them don't even know the right answer then. So it's incumbent upon.
Well, that's what I was gonna talk. Well, sorry, you and I were talking earlier, privately about something that a family member of mine just had a stroke, and I always call myself Dr. Applegate because I'm like such the researcher on everything. Like I know every blood work, what it means, like what it, all the things and the tests and all this stuff. This is the first time I've come across this, and there's a lot of lip service going on right now with this person, and they keep calling me right now about treatments and stuff, and I really don't know kind of what to do about this one. This is the first time this has come into my world, like.
Well, the one thing you got.
And now we probably have like 4 more hours with you, Montel, because you're.
I know. I was going to say, I think we need Montel to be a repeat guest, because I know we'll have to wrap it up in a couple of minutes, but there's nearly not enough time.
I know. I'm so sorry. I'm like, I have so many questions. I'm like writing shit
we're
down.
Gonna have
like,
to
oh
have
my God,
back,
and they're
Montel,
calling me, and
please.
I'm like,
or we'll come on your
just
podcast.
Wait, for the two of you, I'm here. I'm here. Text me. You got my number.
You.
Text me. I'll hit you up. I'll call you. Whatever you need to know, I'm there. I'm here for you. That's what we warriors do for each other. Is that we actually get on the horses and let's come charging in. So I'm ready to help. Let me know what you need, and I'm there.
You have 2 podcasts, correct? Let's Be Blunt.
Yes.
And Free Thinking.
I have a podcast that's called Free Thinking. Free Thinking. I would love to have the two of you on Free Thinking. I also have a podcast that's called Let's Be Blunt. And that's all about cannabis, but that's not about cannabis and, telling you how to get stoned. This is about all the information that a lot of people don't give. I've had some of the top doctors in the world, from Dr. Oz and Sanjay Gupta, some of the top doctors from around the planet, from Australia, from South Africa, from Harvard, from all over the country, some of the best providers. They give information out that I think anybody who wants to venture down that path should probably go up on my podcast. I've got well over 300 of them.
I want to come on that podcast.
I would love to have the two of you on my podcast.
Because I have a lot of questions for you about it. Yeah, I would love it. I would love that. And you,
absolutely.
And can you tell us?
I don't know if I would be a good candidate for that, James, because creams are all I can do.
She does her creams. Yeah. Well,
how do you feel about creams?
She likes the CBD creams.
Yeah.
The creams with the I love my THC and my CBD creams.
There you go.
I cannot smoke at the pots because I go a little Cuckoo Town McGee.
Got it.
But so it might not be for me. The other one we'll talk. But what are your thoughts about the crims? I'm going to say it like that.
It all depends on.
I'm an idiot.
First off, it all depends on the formulation. It all depends on the formulation. But if you can find a really good, what we call broad spectrum cannabis cream, a lot of people I know get a lot of relief from them. So, and there are some people I know that it doesn't do anything for. So, it depends on where you get it. You're in California. I'm sure you can find some really good stuff out there. And I would definitely get it through a dispensary. Don't get it through an adult use place. Get it through a dispensary that's a medical dispensary where you know that the product's been tested and they have a good certificate of analysis on it, without a doubt.
Perfect. We do something at the end of each episode where we have our guest say 5 of their favorite movies. It doesn't have to be the 5, but 5 that are the first that come to mind that, you could watch every time they were on the movie screen, that have meant something to you, that have changed your way of thinking, whatever it is, just 5 of those movies, if you can think about it. And Christina does a little party trick for them.
I am so, I'm so bad at just remembering the names. Okay. Crimson Tide, Denzel Washington, Gene Hackman, Glory, Glory, was one of my favorite. I'll tell you something very interesting about Glory. I was able to help make Glory.
No, you can't.
Huh?
You can't yet.
Okay.
Montel, you can't. You've got to go through the movies and then you can talk about them.
Okay.
But you're influencing my brain.
So-
you can't influence my
Okay.
brain.
All right. Crimson Tide.
Crimson Tide, Glory. You got 3 more.
Let me think here. 12 Years a Slave. And I just saw this one yesterday, and I can't remember the name of it right now. It was the one with Matthew McConaughey and where it's a Grisham movie, Grisham book, A Time to Kill. And then I just saw
You get one more.
another one. I saw this last night, and I'm thinking this is one of my favorite movies too. The Client, which had
Oh yeah,
another
great
Grisham.
movie.
Yeah. Okay. Shh.
Okay.
I'm gonna
right, we're gonna
stop
talk while
listening
she does
because
her
you're
thing.
influencing my game.
Take your headphones out. Take your headphones out. So she'll be back in a minute, Montel. But
Okay.
it's so nice to talk to you. And I just feel, I almost feel regretful that I haven't been in more touch with you, but I'm so glad to be back in touch with you because I feel, very much like I'm wondering if you've ever felt this way, or maybe you didn't because you're just such a person that takes things head on. But I feel like I'm almost at a place in my life where I'm ready to receive love and support and healing. I think for so long I just kind of like had my head down and thought I had to do this on my own. And I don't feel that way anymore. There's just kind of like a whole softening in general about me and around MS and around everything, if that's making sense. And so sort of to reconnect
Yes.
with you in this time feels very, very kismet with that.
I am so glad that we've been able to connect again too also. And I'm sorry I've been remiss, because I should have been reaching out to you ladies and forcing you, just to stay in touch. But
No.
I'm so glad that we're connected. You are definitely I'm going to have my peeps reach out to you and get you on my podcast. No ifs, ands, or buts. We got to do this again. We have to do
Yes.
this again and
Yeah,
again
we're
and again.
coming. She's gonna go on the pot when I'm gonna do this.
Would love it.
Okay.
Well, one last thing about movies. I'm telling you, the three of us need to do a movie together. And it doesn't have
I
to
love it.
Yeah, and we'll all just sit there.
Not a movie not a movie about MS, but we ought to do a movie together that shows people that we'll call it invisible people, the people that they think are no longer contributors. We'll show them who contributors are.
Yeah.
Amen.
Fuck yeah, Montel. Thank you, Montel.
Absolutely.
We're gonna call this episode "Fuck Yeah, Montel."
I love it.
Yeah. So this is what happened. I started crying, and
Mm.
99.9% of the time I'm right. Okay. I don't know. Little Montel was maybe told a lie somewhere about himself, but there's something in you that always knew you were going to be a fucking hero. And I feel that from everything that you relate to. Someone told you a lie, and I don't know what that lie is, but it was a fucking lie that you didn't believe anymore, that you don't believe.
Wait.
And
Let me tell you what you say. Can I tell you something about that? Let me tell you something about that because you don't know how dead right you are. Do you know? I'm older than you guys, and I'm a product of busing. So back when I went to elementary school, and back in I went to elementary school, I was bused from a little black icon.
It's okay. You're old, Montel.
I'm old.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm old.
We got you.
So I'm talking. This is 1961. I was bused from my predominantly black neighborhood to a all white neighborhood in a little area called Linthicum, Maryland. And I remember 61. I remember pulling up in a bus and people being outside of that bus holding signs and placards and cursing and yelling and screaming at all these little first grade kids walking in the door. And I didn't even know what they were screaming about, but they were calling me every racial epithet there is and names that they could. And in my elementary school, because of my upbringing at this point in time, I had a father who really believed that education was the only thing that was important in life for his children. So I'm the youngest of 4 kids. And my father used to require that I come to the dinner table in the evening when he was home from his shift work 4 days out of 12 days. And every one of his kids had to have 4 words that they could spell, use in a sentence, and knew the Webster's dictionary definition of. So from about the age 3 on, I ended up having to actually regurgitate these words. My siblings would teach them to me. So I'll go a little faster. So when I was in elementary school, from the 1st grade to the 3rd grade, I had a vocabulary that was really more like a 7th grade vocabulary as a 1st grader, because my siblings would hand me words at the table, and I'd say them. I didn't know what I was talking about, but I'd say them anyway. So anyway, I became the little storyteller in my school. And in my school and in the county that I was in, they would pick a story a week and read it on the radio from a kid. And I was blessed in the 3rd grade to have had 3 stories picked and read on the radio between September and Thanksgiving. So I was like, hoo-hoo, I'm the little badass. Hey, yeah, yeah. So I wrote a story. I wrote a story for Christmas. And the story was about, and I'm going to tell it to you real quick. The story was about this village that got together and they made this big sombrero, and the entire town took their nap under the sombrero before Christmas and got ready for Christmas. And then once they got ready for Christmas, they got all their gifts together and they wrapped them under the sombrero, and then you went and got your gift from under the sombrero for Christmas. And I did so, wrote my story. And once the story was done, and my story was about the fact that I also had to get some extra Christmas gifts. So I went to this store and I didn't have enough money to get my gifts wrapped. So I went down to the wrapping station, and the woman said, well, if you clean up the floor, I'll wrap your gifts. So I cleaned up the floor, she wrapped my gifts, and boom, I had gifts to put under the tree. And whoo-hoo, we had a great Christmas. It was such a great story. I knew that story was going to win. It was going to be read on the radio. I submitted the story, and the teacher gave me back my story, and she had circled one word on my story all the way through it and put a big fat red F on my paper. And I was like, F? How can you give me an F? Are you crazy? If I take this F home, my father's going to beat the crap out of me. And number 2, this is a good story. This is the best story I've written. They didn't say anything. I took that story home. I hid it under my mattress for about 3 months, pulled it out from under the mattress, and I went back to the teacher and I said, I don't understand this. Why did you give me an F? And she looked at it and she looked me in the face and she said, because you people only have one thing in your life, one thing on your mind, and that's why you'll never be nothing in life. And I looked at this teacher. I'm in 3rd grade, and you'll never be nothing in life. And I'm looking at this paper and I'm trying to figure out, what the hell is she talking about? I took the paper home again and I hid it under my mattress because I didn't want my parents to see it. I didn't want my father to see it, my mother to see it. And it was 3 years later. Listen to me. I took that paper out from underneath my mattress, between my mattress and box springs, every 2 days when my mother would change my bed, and put it back under there for 3 years. The paper was falling apart by the time I was in the 6th grade. And I finally got a chance to look at this paper and try to figure out, what does this woman mean that I'm never going to be nothing in life because we only have one thing on our mind? And I looked at the paper in my 6th grade year and realized what the one word was that was circled in red on my paper that she was saying was so bad. And what do you think that one word was that I had circled in red? I told it to you. I told you a story about me getting the gifts wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped.
Want?
Well, the one word that I had misspelled was, instead of WRAPPED,
Misspelled.
I spelled it RAPED. And this woman looked a 3rd grade
Oh
child
my God.
in the face and said, that's why you people will never be anything in life, because you only got one thing on your mind. And it was from that day on that I realized I alone will own the definition of who I am. And that's the reason why I've lived by that for the rest of my life. I went on to become the president of my class my junior and senior year of high school. I was a student selected to the Board of Education in my senior year of high school. I was a student I was the parliamentarian for the Chesapeake Regional Association of Student Councils. I was the adjutant for the Maryland Association of Student Councils. I went on and I based my success on the fact that I was going to refuse to ever let anybody define me again. So you're so right. Somebody hurt me really badly. But instead of taking that hurt and
God,
believing
I'm so sorry. I'm crying so hard about that. Thank you for sharing that, Montel,
Yeah.
because there's so many kids that are told a lie. Somewhere someone tells them a lie, and you didn't let that fucking lie define you. You're such an incredible, remarkable human being, and we are so blessed to have you in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
right back to
Amen.
the two of you.
Sorry, I just got
Amen.
mushy.
It's all right.
Montel, we end every episode with a quote, and I think we need to end it with your mantra and say it all together, because today could be the first day of the rest of your life.
Well, yeah, you can end it with I alone own the definition of who I am, or you could do this. For all your listeners out there, I want them to think about it. Before they go to bed tonight, take a piece of paper and write down on that piece of paper 3 things you did today that are worth talking about tomorrow. And when you get up tomorrow morning and you're standing there in the bathroom before you go to the bathroom and you're looking in the mirror and you're looking into your own 3 eyes, your own eyes, look into your eyes and read those 3 things and know you just started your day with success.
And so it is.
Thank you so much, Montel,
Thank
so
you.
it is. This show is executive produced by Christina Applegate, Jamie-Lynn Sigler, and Allison Bresnick. Our audio engineer is Josh Windisch.
And if you want to show us some love, don't forget to leave the show a rating or review. Hi, it's Jamie. Thanks for listening. I just want to let you know I am a paid spokesperson for Novartis, but this podcast is independent from my collaboration with Novartis.